I'm Petra from Atelier Jup. In this video we will show you how to stitch the vent of the Alex coat. It is a lined vent, so it's not easy to sew. I will show you here. So hopefully this video will be helpful. Before we start stitching the vent, you need to stitch the middle back seam first. Make sure your stitching ends exactly in the marking that indicates the top of the vent. Then you need to fold open your fabric and you fold the two parts of the vent extensions towards the left, because on the good side, the right side of the fabric will go over the left side. Then you need to stitch the top of the vent. You start exactly in the marking and you stitch right up to 1.5 centimeters from the edge of the vent extension. And you need to stitch through all layers. You can indicate it first with a chalk or a basting thread to make it easier on yourself. And after that, we give a little snip in the seam allowance, just this part. So we can fold the middle back seam like this and press it open. So for this video, we're jumping to the part of the lining. In the meantime, you will have finished the outer layer of the coat. So for the lining, for the back pieces, you actually need two different back pieces to be able to line the vent. So on the pattern piece, you will find a line that indicates where you need to cut off a piece of one of the two back pieces, the right one. So the left one still needs this shape. So you can first cut it from the piece and then put it again on your fabric, and then you can follow the shape. So you will have two different pieces for your back line. So this is what it looks like when you cut a piece of the back lining of the right side of the back lining. And then your pattern piece in the fabric will look like this, and this you can just throw away. So here we have stitched the top of the vent, where we started in the marking just up to 1.5 centimeters from the edge, and I snipped the seam on the left side so that you can press it nicely flat. Make sure when you stitch the top that your vent extensions are nicely put together. There are markings on the bottom to indicate just where it needs to go. So if we turn this around, the fabric is a little bit heavy, but you can see here that we have stitched the vent extension. Now we will jump to the part in the explications where we explain the vent. In the meantime, you will have stitched the middle back seam of your lining, and here you need to make sure that you put the right side to the right side when you stitch, because the two parts are not symmetrical. Then we're going to attach the coat fabric and the lining. We're going to start with the left part of the vent, which is the layer underneath. And for the lining, it's the part where you have this sticking out. So we're going to pin them together, right side to right side. You need to make sure that the two markings of the vent are matching. We're going to start at 1.5 centimeters from the top, and we're going to stitch up until the second marking, so not all the way down. After you stitch the left part of the vent extensions, we're gonna stitch the right part. So for the left part, you can see that we went up until the second marking and started at 1.5 centimeters from the top. For the right part of the vent extension, the easiest is to pin the two markings together first and then pin the rest. You will see that the lining won't go right to the hem. That's fine, just make sure it's at least 1.5 centimeters within the edge so you can stitch it along. For the upper part, make sure you kind of pull the fabric up or to the side, so in a way it's like it's supposed to be. So it's important it's not pulling down when you stitch it, when you pin it, sorry. And then you can start here. The easiest is to stitch on this side. Here we have stitched the right side of the vent extension, so all the way down where the lining is a bit short, and right up to 1.5 centimeters from the top. Now we're going to snip the seam allowances, because as you can see the fabric pulls and we're not going to be able to stitch the top of the vent this way. So for the right side of the vent, you will snip this corner right here. And for the left side of the vent, so this side, we will snip into this corner. And then we can put the top parts together and stitch the lining. After you stitch the top part, which will look like this, the vent is closed. Then you still need to press it, of course, the vent extensions and the millback seams, the top. And then we will continue with the hem. When you finish stitching the top of the vent, it will look like this. Here you can see the seam allowance through the lining, but on an actual coat you wouldn't see it like that because it would be interfaced, of course. Now we're going to continue with the hem to sew the corners of the vent. We're going to start with the left side, and we're going to put the edge of the lining and the edge of the coat together. So you will see that it pulls, but that's actually the whole point. For this tutorial I will only stitch a part, but for the actual coat you can start stitching here all the way up to the front facing. So after you stitched the hem at 1.5 centimeters all the way to the front facing, of course, we're gonna finish the vent extension on the left side. So you fold the fabric upwards, good sides together, and the lining will disappear in between the coat fabric. So you fold at your hem allowance, of course. So you need to use your markings. And then we're gonna finish the bottom of the vent, and we're gonna stitch down at 1.5 centimeter seam allowance and snip the corner. After you stitch the bottom of the vent, you cut the corner and then you turn it inside out and use a pair of scissors to push out the corner real nice. And then you will see that the bottom of the left vent is finished. The lining won't go all the way to the end, but there's still a little bit of fabric that you can see here. Now we're going to finish the right part of the vent extension. Make sure when you finish this that the two parts are well aligned, so that one isn't longer than the other. If you have a checked pattern, you can use lines. If not, you're probably gonna have to turn it inside out to double check. So we're gonna work on the wrong side, and you need to fold the vent inside out on the edge of the vent, which is indicated with a marking. So it will look like this. So it's folded right up there on the marking. We're gonna start stitching at the edge at 4.5, which is the hem allowance, and we're gonna stitch right up to the stitching which attaches the coat and the lining. Then we're gonna stitch in this stitching down at just at 1.5 centimeters from the bottom. We're gonna turn the fabric again, and we're gonna stitch the hem at 1.5 centimeters seam allowance all the way to the front facing. I've finished the stitching in the corner, and you will also have finished the rest of the hem. I have cut out a square to reduce the bulk inside the vent, and then you can turn it inside out. You nicely push out the corner with a pair of scissors or something else, and that is how you stitch the vent, and you also finish the bottom of the vent. Thanks for watching this video. We hope this helped to stitch the vent. It's our first one, so don't hesitate to leave your thoughts and feedback. You can also find a tutorial with pictures on our website.